First contact, first blood. The skies above Earth darkened without warning. It wasn't clouds or storms, but thousands of metallic vessels that materialized in perfect formation, their hulls reflecting the sun like countless mirrors. Humanity's first contact with alien life didn't come with diplomatic messages or peaceful overtures. It came with fire. Commander Sarah Reeves stood on the roof of the Pentagon, her eyes fixed on the Washington Monument as it crumbled under a beam of purple energy. 23 years in the military hadn't prepared her for this moment. The alien ships had appeared just hours ago, and already the world's greatest cities were falling. "Commander, we need you inside," her aides shouted over the sound of distant explosions. "The Joint Chiefs are waiting." Inside the war room, screens displayed global devastation. London, Moscow, Beijing, Tokyo, all under attack. Defense systems were failing worldwide, and communication networks were collapsing. The room fell silent as Admiral Harrison stepped forward, his face ashen. "They've taken out our major military installations simultaneously," he said. "We've lost contact with our submarine fleet, our satellite network is compromised, and our missile defense systems are non-operational." "Do we know what they want?" Sarah asked. "They're not talking," replied the Secretary of Defense. "No demands, no communication attempts. They're simply exterminating." The aliens, soon nicknamed harvesters due to their methodical destruction, showed no interest in resources or territory. They targeted population centers, military bases, and infrastructure with surgical precision. Within the first 48 hours, nearly 2 billion people were dead or missing. But humanity had one advantage the aliens hadn't counted on: desperation. Dr. Elias Chen had been analyzing data from the attacks when he noticed something peculiar. The aliens avoided certain geographical areas, particularly regions with high electromagnetic activity. Specifically, they kept their distance from the Earth's magnetic poles and areas with significant geomagnetic anomalies. "It's not coincidence," he explained to the Emergency Scientific Council gathered in a bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. "Their ships change course to avoid these regions. I believe their technology is vulnerable to specific electromagnetic frequencies." It wasn't much, but it was something. A weakness, and humanity needed every advantage it could get. Across the globe, in the ruins of cities and the depths of hastily constructed bunkers, resistance cells formed. Military remnants coordinated with civilian specialists, pooling resources and sharing intelligence through improvised communication networks. The aliens might have taken out the conventional military infrastructure, but they hadn't counted on human ingenuity and adaptability. In the remnants of Silicon Valley, a group of engineers and programmers worked furiously to repurpose commercial satellites that had somehow escaped destruction. Led by former tech CEO Maya Indira, they established a shadow network to bypass the compromised official channels. "We need to coordinate globally," Maya insisted during a secure video call with military and scientific leaders. "If Dr. Chen is right about the electromagnetic vulnerability, we need to build weapons that can exploit it, and we need to deploy them simultaneously." Meanwhile, in rural North Dakota, Major James Cooper led a group of survivors in salvaging equipment from a partially destroyed Air Force base. Cooper had been on leave when the attacks began and had watched his hometown of Chicago vanish under alien fire. Now he worked with cold determination, gathering what weapons remained and training civilians for the fight ahead. "They think they've won," he told his ragtag group of fighters. "They think we're beaten, but they don't understand what humans do when we're cornered." The plan that emerged was desperate and daring. Dr. Chen, working with scientists and engineers worldwide, designed portable electromagnetic pulse generators that could be calibrated to the specific frequencies that seemed to disturb alien technology. These wouldn't be powerful enough to disable the massive ships in orbit, but could potentially affect their ground forces and smaller craft. For the larger vessels, Maya's team repurposed the remaining weather modification satellites, reconfiguring them to generate focused electromagnetic storms in the upper atmosphere. It would be a one-shot weapon, The satellites would burn out after firing, but if timed correctly, it might create enough disruption for ground forces to strike. The key discovery came from an unexpected source. Dr. Sophia Williams, a marine biologist who had been studying deep-sea creatures before the invasion, realized that the alien vessels used a communication system similar to certain bioluminescent creatures she had studied, pulses of light at specific frequencies, transmitted through a medium that wasn't quite light and wasn't quite sound. If we can jam their communications, she theorized, we might be able to isolate individual ships or units from the main fleet. They seem to operate with a hive-mind coordination. Break that, and we might have a chance. Sarah Reeves, now leading what remained of the United States Military Command, looked at the assembled group of scientists, soldiers, and civilians who had been working tirelessly for weeks. We have one shot at this, she said. One chance to show these bastards that Earth isn't theirs for the taking. Around the table, faces hardened with resolve. The losses had been catastrophic. Entire cities gone, billions dead, the fabric of human civilization torn apart. But something else had emerged from the ashes: unity. Old enemies worked together, borders became meaningless, and humanity found common purpose in survival. The coordinated attack begins in 3 days, Sarah continued. Every resistance cell worldwide has been briefed. The EMP devices are being distributed, and Maya's satellite array is ready. As the meeting dispersed, Sarah stood alone, looking at the map of Earth with its red dots indicating alien presence. So much lost, so quickly, but not everything. Not yet. Outside, the night sky glowed with the hulls of alien ships, their formations unchanging, their purpose still mysterious. They had struck without warning or mercy, believing humanity would fall quickly. They were about to learn how wrong they were. In the darkness of a Montana forest, James Cooper led his team through final preparations. The portable EMP devices, jerry-rigged from salvaged electronics and looking more like science fair projects than weapons of war, were secured in backpacks. His team consisted of former soldiers, a high school physics teacher, a park ranger, and a 16-year-old coding prodigy who had survived the destruction of Seattle. Remember, he told them as they prepared to move out, these things might shut down our conventional weapons too. Be ready to fight old school. Across the ocean, in the ruins of Beijing, Colonel Lai Wei commanded a similar group, preparing to strike at the alien ground forces that had established a base in the former Forbidden City. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous fighters worked alongside Brazilian special forces. In the Australian outback, a combined force of military personnel and Aboriginal guides moved silently toward alien mining operations. Humanity was ready. The counterattack would begin at dawn. The counterattack had succeeded, but not in the way anyone had anticipated. Humanity had won not through superior firepower or technology, but through something the aliens hadn't expected and couldn't defend against: empathy. 2 months later, the reconstruction began. Alien technology, now freely shared, accelerated the healing of Earth's wounds. The massive vessels that had brought destruction now helped rebuild, their energy systems repurposed to restore devastated regions. Sarah Reeves stood with the alien ambassador, a shimmering projection that approximated human form, overlooking the reconstruction of Washington, D.C. Your species surprised us, the ambassador communicated. Throughout our journey, we encountered only hostility or submission, never understanding. We came close to the same mistake, Sarah admitted. Very close. Yet you chose a different path, even in your moment of advantage. This is why we now believe our encounter, despite its tragic beginning, may have been fortunate. Our species complement each other. Where we have technology, you have adaptability. Where we have knowledge of the stars, you have courage to face the unknown. Sarah thought of the billions lost, the cities destroyed, the wounds that would take generations to heal. It came at a terrible price. Yes, the ambassador acknowledged. A debt we cannot repay, but will forever strive to honor. In the distance, a new structure rose where the Washington Monument had stood, a memorial combining human and alien design, its surface inscribed with the names of the fallen from both sides, a reminder of what had been lost and what had been gained. The stars, once a distant dream, now beckoned with new promise. Humanity would venture forth not alone, but alongside unlikely allies born from the crucible of conflict and the miracle of understanding. They had struck Earth first, but humanity had struck back, not with final destruction, but with the one weapon the aliens had never encountered and could not resist: hope. Outside, the battle intensified. The aliens were adapting, finding ways to partially restore their systems. Cooper's team suffered casualties, the physics teacher taking a wound to the shoulder, the park ranger fighting hand-to-hand with an alien twice her size. "Hurry," Cooper urged Zoe. "We're running out of time." In orbit, the situation was changing. The larger alien vessels were recovering from the initial electromagnetic attack, their systems rebooting. Maya watched with growing concern as they began to reorganize. "We need that virus now," she communicated to Sarah. The satellite EMP was a one-shot weapon, and they're adapting. In the command center, Sarah received another urgent message, this one from Dr. Williams. "Commander, I've been analyzing their communication patterns. They're not just military signals. There's something else embedded in them, something like emotions." "Explain," Sarah demanded. "I think they're a collective consciousness," Williams replied. "Not individual beings, but aspects of a single entity. And based on the patterns we're seeing, I think that entity is afraid." The revelation was staggering. Not a conquering army, but a frightened organism, lashing out at a perceived threat. But why Earth? Why humanity? The answer came from Cooper's team. As Zoe successfully penetrated the alien network, images and data flooded their screens. The alien history, their purpose, their fears. "They're running," Cooper reported back to command. "Their home system was destroyed by something they call the Void. They've been searching for a new home, and Earth was compatible. They didn't try to communicate because they assumed we would react like the other species they encountered, with hostility. So they struck first," Sarah realized. Preemptive extinction. In the alien command post, Zoe had gained deeper access to the network. "I can upload the virus," she told Cooper. "But I'm seeing something else. They're ships, the big ones in orbit. They're not just vessels. They're like worms. There are millions of them in stasis, waiting to be born." "Children?" Cooper asked, incredulous. "Not exactly. More like potential versions of themselves. Their reproduction isn't biological, not like ours." The moral implications were enormous. What had begun as a straightforward fight for survival now carried the weight of potential genocide. If they deployed the virus, they might destroy not just an invading force, but an entire species. Sarah Reeves faced the most difficult decision of her life. Around the world, humanity was fighting back, reclaiming their planet inch by bloody inch. The aliens were vulnerable, their formations broken, their advantage neutralized. The virus could end the war today. But at what cost? "Dr. Williams," she said finally, "you said they communicate through emotional patterns. Can we send a different message? Not the virus, but understanding." "Theoretically," Williams replied. "But the risk." "I know the risks," Sarah cut her off. "Zoe, can you do it? Can you send emotions instead of the virus?" In North Dakota, Zoe looked at Cooper, who nodded grimly. "I can try," she said. "What emotion should I send?" "Not fear," Sarah decided. "They already know fear. Send them hope. Send them peace. Show them we can coexist." It was humanity's final gamble. As resistance fighters continued to battle across the globe, Zoe modified the signal pattern, transforming the virus into something new, a message encoded in the alien's own emotional language. In orbit, the alien vessels froze. On Earth, the fighting ground to a halt as alien soldiers suddenly stopped, their postures changing from aggression to confusion. Then, from the largest vessel in orbit, a new signal emerged, directed not at the alien forces, but at human communication systems worldwide. On screens and radios across the planet, a message appeared, translated into every human language simultaneously. We misunderstood. We feared. We erred. Ceasefire. Speak. The counterattack. The coordinated attack began not with a bang, but with a silent pulse that rippled through the atmosphere. Maya Indira, exhausted after days without sleep, watched from her underground command center as the repurposed satellites fired their electromagnetic pulses at the alien fleet in orbit. The effect was immediate. On screens across the globe, resistance fighters watched as the massive alien vessels shuddered, their perfect formations disrupting as they drifted into one another. Some smaller craft plummeted toward Earth, trailing smoke and debris. "It's working," Maya whispered, her voice hoarse. "The bastards are vulnerable." The second phase began immediately. Around the world, resistance cells activated their portable EMP devices, targeting alien ground forces. In what remained of Paris, resistance fighters led by former French Foreign Legion Captain Antoine Dubois watched as alien soldiers, 8-foot-tall beings encased in metallic exoskeletons, suddenly stopped mid-stride, their armor systems failing. "Maintenant," Antoine shouted, and his fighters emerged from the ruins, wielding conventional weapons against the suddenly vulnerable invaders. Similar scenes played out globally. In Tokyo, in Cairo, in Rio de Janeiro, humanity struck back with coordinated fury. The aliens, cut off from their orbiting command structures, fell into disarray. Their technological advantage neutralized, they faced something they hadn't prepared for: humans fighting for survival. In North Dakota, James Cooper led his team through the disabled alien perimeter. The EMP had worked better than expected, shutting down not just communication systems, but life support functions in the alien armor. Some invaders lay dead or dying, while others struggled to remove their malfunctioning equipment. "Move quickly," Cooper ordered. "We don't know how long the effect will last." Their objective was the alien command post, a structure that resembled a massive metallic tree, its branches stretching toward the sky. According to intelligence gathered by resistance scouts, this served as both a communication hub and a teleportation point for reinforcements. As they approached, they encountered aliens fighting without their powered armor, still formidable with their height and strength, but no longer invincible. The battle was brutal and close quarters, humanity's desperate fury against alien panic. Meanwhile, Sarah Reeves coordinated the global assault from the bunker beneath the Rockies. Reports flooded in: success in Mumbai, heavy resistance in Sydney, unexpected alien reinforcements in Mexico City. She directed resources where needed, connecting resistance cells and ensuring the momentum continued. Dr. Chen burst into the command center, his face flushed with excitement. "Commander, we've captured one of their communication devices intact. Dr. Williams is analyzing it now, but she thinks she can use it to transmit a virus into their network." "What kind of virus?" Sarah asked. "A feedback loop," Chen explained. "Their systems are highly interconnected, more so than we initially thought. If we can introduce the right signal pattern, it might cascade through their entire fleet." It was another desperate gamble, but those were the only kind humanity had left. In Beijing, Colonel Lai Wei and his forces had secured the alien base in the Forbidden City. As they explored the structure, they made a chilling discovery: holding cells containing thousands of captured humans in some form of stasis. "They're not dead," reported Dr. Lin, the team's medical officer, after examining the pods. "They appear to be in suspended animation, and there's evidence of experimentation." The revelation spread through resistance channels. The aliens weren't just destroying humanity. They were studying it, harvesting DNA, tissue samples, perhaps even consciousness itself. The discovery fueled the counterattack with renewed rage. At the alien command post in North Dakota, Cooper's team fought their way to the central chamber. The 16-year-old prodigy, Zoe, worked feverishly to interface their equipment with the alien technology, following instructions relayed from Dr. Williams. "I need to establish a connection to their main network," she muttered, fingers flying over her keyboard. "If I can upload the virus to this node, it should propagate throughout their fleet."